Welcome to another episode of Rob Wright's Gen X Pop Culture. On today's show, we're going to talk about Huey Lewis and the News and their smash hit album, Sports. I love this album. This is a fantastic album, and it turns 40 years old today. I remember owning this as a kid. I had the tape, and I used to listen to it cover to cover, and I still listen to my CD cover to cover. I love every song on this album, and today I'm going to tell you about the production of it. I'm going to tell you about the songs on it and why I love them, and I'll tell you a little bit about their videos as well. So let's get into the production of this album. Back in the 70s and 80s, the radio really ruled the music industry. And during that time, you had to have hits in the top 40 in order to get your songs played on the radio and in order to make ends meet and sell your albums. So Huey Lewis and the News approached this album with top 40 hits in mind. They had already had one top 40 hit, Do You Believe in Love, from Picture This, which is a great song. Go look it up if you don't know it. But they needed some more hits so they could sustain themselves as a band and really break through in the music industry. One of the most interesting things about the production of this album was that their manager disagreed with the production company over the demos they had created. The production company didn't really like the demos and the songs, but the band and their manager really did. And so what they did is they decided to produce it themselves. So they went in the studio in California and produced the entire album. They were very meticulous with the recording of this album. They used new technology. There was new drum machine technology that I'll talk a little bit about when we get into the songs that they used. And it was a real blend of new technology and old techniques in the studio. While they were recording it, they would, re-record entire drum and bass lines for songs because they had to get it right. Again, because they were going for those top 40 songs so that they could make it as a band. So this is really key, and it really is a testament to the band's hard work and all that they did to make such a wonderful, timeless album. I love this album. I can't say enough good things about it. But in the production of the album, they finally finished it, and one of the key things that happened, according to what I read, was their production company was going through some turnover, and instead of getting it to them right away, they held it back until the production company kind of stabilized with their workforce. And I think that was key because they really wanted everything to go perfect and smoothly on here. The album itself, the title Sports, was a play off their name, which they kind of used as a tongue-in-cheek, and they used it only one other time in their history with their latest album, Weather, which if you don't have a copy of that, get that album. That's a great album. Lots of wonderful songs on that album. Go get that one. The cover, which you see pictured here, was actually shot at a sports bar in Mill Valley, California called the 2 a.m. Club. And it's a club that they actually played at when they were coming up as a band. Huey Lewis said that at the time in the photo shoot, he was actually hungover. I don't know that it shows in this picture, but kind of a funny story, kind of a funny interlude in that. The album was a smash hit. It hit number one in 1984, unseating Michael Jackson's Thriller. And it remained in near the top of the charts for 160 weeks, which is just outstanding. Huey Lewis described this album in 3 words as "got it right." The album produced 4 top 10 songs and is certified 7 times platinum, which is a magnificent feat. Let's talk a little bit about the songs. Let's get into these songs. Now, this is my opinion on ranking these songs. I love every single one of them, but I am biased. I do have a particular order of songs that I really like. This song has some great hidden gems, and of course it has some wonderful top 40 hits that you probably know and love too. So let's go through the rankings, starting with number 9. Number 9. My number 9 song is a song called Honky Tonk Blues, which is actually a country song that Huey and the band put their own spin on. It was actually written by Hank Williams, and it was covered by several country artists, including Charlie Pride. Hank Williams Jr. said that he really liked Huey Lewis and the News' version of this song. It's a catchy tune that ends the album. I want to go over a little bit about the album cover that I forgot to cover here. So we've got the album cover in the back of the cover. And if you look at the album cover, you'll see above the bar is a guitar with a toilet seat, which is just hilarious. On the picture in the cover art on the left-hand side, you'll see a football player that is actually Dwight Clark from the San Francisco 49ers, because the band is from San Francisco and they're 49er fans. On the back cover, you see the pool balls hitting together, and then you see on the TV it's switched to Huey Lewis and the News, the actual band, which I thought was very interesting. Anyway, let's get on with the countdown. Number 8. My number 8 song is a catchy song called You Crack Me Up. It's a real hidden gem on the album. It's about a lady who refuses to accept that she's no longer a youngster. And the band said that they wrote it about, it wasn't about anybody in particular, but they used to play in different bars and clubs, particularly one called Uncle Charlie's. And it's about many of the people that used to come and go into the bar that they would see every night that they played. Number 7. My number 7 song is Finally Found a Home. It's actually a personal song to Huey. What it is about finally having a gig, finally making it into the music business, which is so fitting for this album, which is what they were trying to do. The funny thing is the name for the song came about when they were leaving the airport in San Francisco. They went through an area with some rundown homes, and their manager actually joked that, oh, hey, look, guys, I finally found a home. And so he actually got writing credit for part of this song because of that joke and because it became the title. Number 6. My number 6 song is one of those hidden gems that you wouldn't hear on the Top 40 radio, but you would hear it in one of their concerts. It's called Bad is Bad. This is such a great song. It was actually written by Lewis when he was in Clover, and he wrote it as a shuffle. Well, Johnny Cola, who rearranged and did a lot of arranging of the music, he rearranged it as a cappella. And so what you get with this song is a cool blend of old and new. So you had the drum machine, which was called a Linn drum machine that they used at the beginning of the song, along with the guys singing a cappella. So a blend of old 50s doo-wop along with the new technology of the drum machine. One of the inspirations that I read was part of this song was the song Hey 19 by Steely Dan off of their Gaucho album, and their use of drum machines and new technology in that. The band really wanted to try that new technology and try and blend it with what they did. The song is a reference to using, oh, hey, that guy's bad. That's as a good thing to really represent that, sometimes bad doesn't mean good. It means bad is bad. And you'll hear in the song different aspects of things that he goes over, like his cousin playing guitar is not good. It's actually bad. He eats some cheap chili that is not good. It's really bad, and it's why it's so cheap. So that's kind of the theme of this song. The song wasn't released as a single, as I said, but they often played at their concerts. They were so popular that the song actually got its own video on MTV, and this video was actually directed by the band. The band did the video themselves, and it's basically the band walking around the different areas of San Francisco, singing the song and wandering around. They start out behind a garbage truck and just kind of make their way around with clubs and different things. And the funny thing at the end is that the band actually gets picked up by some girls, everybody except Huey, and he turns around and all the guys are gone taking off, and he's kind of left alone. So kind of a humorous video, but it's a great song. Check it out if you don't know it. Number 5. Now we're going to get into some of their more popular songs on this album. So my number 5 one is Harder Rock and Roll. This is a very fun, catchy song written by Lewis and Johnny Cola. And it was a top 10 hit that peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Top Rock Tracks. It was written after a performance in Cleveland, And Huey kind of after that concert basically turned to his bandmates and said, wow, the heart of rock and roll really is in Cleveland. And so the original title was The Heart of Rock and Roll is in Cleveland. And they convinced him that, hey, you probably need to spread it out. So The Heart of Rock and Roll is what it turned into. And it's a really great title. And ironically, The Heart of Rock and Roll really is in Cleveland because 12 years later in 1995, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened up in Cleveland, Ohio. And it's still there today. And it's still a mecca for music buffs learning about the history of rock and roll. There are different versions of this song that were sent out as demos to different radio stations so they can mention all the different cities that everybody lived in. So you may live in New Mexico and they mention Santa Fe on that particular album, or you may live in Texas and they may mention Dallas. So that was part of the marketing for this particular song. One of the most interesting things about this song is what they did for the heartbeat at the beginning. You would think that, okay, well, that's an easy thing that we can do today. But back then, it was a little bit more complex. So originally, they had a kick drum that they were using for the heartbeat. And they really didn't like it. It really didn't sit well. They wanted something a little bit tighter. So Sean Hooper, their keyboardist and an engineer, spent 6 hours doing various things to try and get the heartbeat exactly right. And I think they just nailed it in this. This song was up for Song of the Year in 1985, but it lost to Tina Turner's What's Love Got to Do with It. The video is a fun video where you show him in concert and he's all over the United States in different areas. He mentions several different cities. It's a very popular, catchy song. I really like this song, but it's my number 5. Number 4. So my number 4 song off this album is I Want a New Drug. And it has a unique, interesting story to it. So Huey Lewis has said in several interviews that he wrote this song when he had an early morning appointment with his lawyer. He was a little bit hungover and he just thought of this song on the way to his lawyer's office. And the minute he got to his lawyer's office, he asked for a pencil and paper and started writing it down. He took it to the rest of the band, and the band put their own signature tune on it. And it's really special to both him and the band because it's a unique song that wouldn't have necessarily been written by some of the studio writers of the day, especially having a word like drug in it. I know that I've heard bits and pieces about the song that producers had tried to get them to change the name drug on it because they didn't want it to go out in the public as a druggy song, but the band held firm on it. And actually the drug that Huey Lewis is referring to in the song is not necessarily a drug per se that can give you a temporary relief or a temporary high. He's actually talking about the drug love and a relationship. And that it's really about love, and that love conquers all. Love is the ultimate drug. The video for this song is quite unique and quite famous. One of the keys in the video is the scene where he dunks his head in a sink of ice water and sings part of the lyric. There was a model in the video, and she has a unique story that I thought was fascinating here. It's Sigrid Coleman, and she was placed at the end of the video in an actual concert in the front row. And in the video, she's the object of his affection, and he comes up to the edge of the stage and actually kisses her. Well, she was in the front row with a lot of screaming girls, which were Huey Lewis fans, and she tells the story that she was getting told all kinds of unladylike things. They had to eventually surround her with other people that were a little bit more friendly so they could get the shot, which I thought just was fascinating. She's also in another video that we'll talk about coming up. Number 3. My number 3 song on this album is If This Is It. It's a classic R&B hit, which you probably know. It was one of his biggest songs, and it's really about a guy who's trying to figure out his relationship with this girl, if it's over or not. The song peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Top 100, and the video is remarkable. It's very memorable. Um, it was shot in Santa Cruz, and it has several beach scenes and several scenes on the Midway, kind of the carnival area over by Santa Cruz Beach. Um, Janet Cross plays his ex-girlfriend, and he walks along the beach and along the Midway, seeing her with different guys and different boyfriends doing different things. And there are some points in the video where he tries to win her back. He tries to win her a stuffed animal. He even talks to her and pulls her aside, but unfortunately she's not budging. And at the very end of the video, he kind of gives up. But one of her friends, actually, who's been watching him the whole time during the video, comes up to him, smiles at him, and they have a happy ending where they walk off. Unlike a couple of other videos where Huey's kind of left, hey, where'd everybody go? He finally gets the girl in this one. The other interesting thing about this video is some of the B stories that are going on. You have the whole family, which is roaming all over the beach, trying to find a spot. They can never find a spot. And finally, at the end of the day, when everybody's left, they finally just collapse, finding a spot on the beach, which is funny. The band shows up at various points in the beach. Some of them coming out of the water. One of them really had a great one where he's coming up in between two girls. And there's another spot where all 5 of the band members are buried in the sand with just their heads out. It's a great tune, great video. The other interesting thing about this video is another Huey Lewis song plays at the very beginning of it. I Want a New Drug is actually featured at the very beginning of this video. Check out the video if you get a chance. It's a great song, and it's my number 3. Number 2. My number 2 song is Heart and Soul. This was the first single off the album. It peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Top Rock charts. It was written by Mike Chapman and Nicky Chinn, who also wrote Mickey for Tony Basil and Ballroom Blitz for the band Sweet. It was originally written for the band Exile as the title track for their album in 1981, but unfortunately their version didn't go anywhere. However, the publisher of the song still believed in it and ended up selling it to whatever band they could find, and Huey Lewis liked it, and they picked it up, and they were recording their version. And the interesting thing about it is they were cutting their version in the studio, and Huey Lewis got up to go to the restroom, and he heard another band recording the same song in the next studio over. Needless to say, he wasn't happy with his publisher over this, but he felt confident that his version would be better than that other band's version, and yes, it was. According to Lewis, gender was flipped for the song. It was originally written for a female artist. It was supposed to be he's heart and soul rather than she's heart and soul. The song uses hand claps and different techniques throughout it, which they did a lot in those days. The video is very interesting. So Huey enters a club, and he's a bit out of place in his coat and tie, which you can see here. And he meets a girl that you can see here, which is none other than Sins Coleman, who was in one of the other videos. And the fun part about it is all the crazy scenes that he sees when they're trying to get out. So he sees a guy dressed in a country and western suit, which is another member of the band, a live performance of the band. One of the band members is Dracula. Another door that they open to try and get out is a train. And then they finally get out. And it was shot in San Francisco in a neighborhood that really shows the different hills and the beauty of San Francisco, which the band loved because it was their home. This is a great song. If you get a chance, check out the video. Number 1. My number 1 song is Walking on a Thin Line, which is one of my favorite Huey Lewis in the News songs. It's a more serious song. It's about the war and a guy coming back from Vietnam. The reason why I love this is that I do love and respect all of our veterans. And if you're a veteran watching this, thank you so much for your service. We love and appreciate you. And this song is about a sniper who is in Vietnam and the demons he faces when he came home. It was actually written by Andre Pessis and Kevin Wells. Kevin Wells was the drummer in Huey's first band, Clover. And Pessis said that he used the song as a documentary in the late 60s about the Vietnam War, and he actually paid a young Huey Lewis $20 to record a demo of it. Huey kept the demo, and they recorded it on this album. The song is special to the band because they had several friends who went over to Vietnam, and coming home from the Vietnam War, unfortunately, it was not a very popular war, and they were not treated very well when they came home, as history books have shown. The band says that a lot of their friends came home, they were unappreciated, and some of them got really messed up over there with what they saw and what they did. I personally have an uncle who was in Vietnam. He doesn't talk about it much. He's told me a few stories on his own about some of the people and some of his experiences over there. And my dad told me that when he came home from Vietnam, he came home 50 pounds lighter and skinnier, and that it just changed him in so many different ways. And this is really a dedication to those folks who served over there. So this is my review of Huey Lewis and the News, a sports album. What's your favorite song on this album? Please share in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.